Ah, now look at this. Bit of First World War memorabilia here, I can tell straight away. So who was in the Notts and Derby regiment?
I'm not sure about the Notts and Derby. The Leicester, my maternal grandfather was in there, and these are his things that he collected.
It's really interesting, isn't it?
Bits and bobs. It. I mean, these are real pieces of memorabilia. You've got some cap badges, you've got some buttons, uniforms, and these things are quite hard to find nowadays. If you think about it, they're almost 100 years old. You know, they date from the First World War, so they haven't survived in large numbers. What you do tend to find are the 3 medals that everyone was issued with: Pipsqueak and Wilfred. And they were issued to anybody that was involved in the First World War. And you have one example here, which is the British War Medal, 1914-18, and this one was presented to a Private V. Hudson, and he was in the East Yorks Regiment. Do you know who that was?
Haven't a clue.
Haven't a clue?
Not a clue.
Right, OK. Well, there's a fascination with these now, because each one of them was individually presented. They all have their army number on.
Yes.
So there are websites now where you can go and find out exactly what happened to him, what campaigns he was involved with. So what's happened, it's made war medals, particularly the First World War medals, very collectible, because you can find out lots of history about the person.
I bet.
But this is quite a common medal. There was over 6 million of these issued. Anything else to do with the First World War?
Yes, I've got some postcards here that were also his.
All right. Now, these are great. There we go. First World War postcards. Now, these are often in sets, so you'd have like a set of 6 and they tell a story. But these were designed really for the troops in the trenches to send back to their loved ones. Because they were separated from people at home, you would write your thoughts on the back and you would post them through the army post. And they would
arrive poses as well, aren't they?
They're always romantic and sympathetic. You know, you have sort of
very
2 or 3 in the
emotional,
same.
some of them.
Yeah.
Exactly. Are there any inscriptions on the back or anything?
No.
Well, sometimes the most highly prized one, obviously, you can imagine, where you'd get a loved one that says, "I'm in the trenches here and what's happening." And sometimes you'd get them where they would hide messages underneath the stamp. So you'd have a stamp here. When the stamp is peeled off, you would say, "I love you, but I can't tell my mates."
Oh, lovely.
That was the idea. But
I always knew you cared.
Well, that was the idea. It was very sentimental. Of course, you wouldn't want your mates to know that you were being soppy, you know. Well, I think the postcards, you can be looking at least sort of £2 or £3 each. You've got quite a collection there, and you've got some good medals and some badges there. I mean, I think you're approaching 50 to 80. I mean, how does that sound? Give them a chance at the auction.
Oh, great. That'd be good. Very good.
Well, you know what I'm going to say next, don't you? Let's carry on.
Cup of tea.
No time for tea. There's a wealth of history in those medals and buttons and very sentimental postcards. Pressing on, and I think I've got another item to add to our auction list. This charm bracelet has a fish, a steam engine, a film camera, a whistle, a locket, believe it or not, a frog, plus other oddities. Silver is popular in the marketplace at the moment, so it could go for £20 to £30, or maybe more. Hey, I think that find has earned me a little break, don't you think? So Brenda, this is where you hang out. It's lovely.
Thank you. Yes, I get a great deal of enjoyment from the garden, and I do a lot of work in it as well.
You can tell.
Thank you. I think I spend as much in the local garden centre as I do in the local shops in town for clothes, and that's saying something.
But it's lovely. It's a real oasis, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Totally calm and beautiful.
What I like about your house is everywhere you look, there's old photographs, lots of memorabilia, also lots of memorabilia about your father. Tell us a bit about him. Yeah,
he was a very athletic, very active young man. His father was a boxing coach. My father was Northern County Juniors champion 3 years in a row. He was called Boy Burton.
Great name.
Yeah. And when he was 20, he volunteered, and he was wounded a couple of times, and then eventually, when he was 24, he was wounded at Arnhem and captured, and about 3 years, 2.5 years, and spent in the POW camp in Stalag 7A, most of the time in hospital, but they did save his life. And the Germans used to send rocket mail, or V-bombs as they were called, across to this country, and they were filled with propaganda to try and tell the people that the Germans were winning the war and to try and demoralise the British people. And the only reason that most people picked them up was that there were letters within there from prisoners of war to their families. And of course, people may not have known whether they were alive or dead. And my father's letter was in one of these V-bombs, they used to call them, rocket mail. And there's a letter, a note on the bottom from the camp commandant to say he's as well as could be expected and he's making good progress.
Gosh, interesting life your father had.
Very.
And what about the work that you did? Heart of the community?
yes, it was good fun. I loved it. I mean, I was in the post office. I've been in the post office since I was 18, apart from a break of 7 years when I had my children. And then I went back to it. And I loved it, yes. I used to love the work. I used to love being busy. I loved working with the public and trying to help them out if I could. It was great if I could help people out.
And what's the best thing about your life now?
My granddaughter certainly is one of the best bits. And having such a wonderful place to live in, and just thank God every day that I don't forget to appreciate it.
While we've been enjoying a cuppa, poor old Paul's had to make do with an empty silver teapot out in the garage. In fact, there's quite a bit of silver-plated tableware. Some pieces were inherited from an aunt and others bought in a charity shop. It's a good idea to group similar lots for auction, so this cruet set, candlesticks, sugar bowl and a tea tray together could fetch a further £40 to £80. But Kirsty can now take us from silver to gold.
And, oh, look at that. I never know you cared. Thank you very much, Kirsty. Whose is this then?
That's my mum's. My dad gave it to her as a present a number of years ago now.
OK, look at that. Now then, these are amethysts. There we go. And little diamonds there. Can you see that?
I can, yeah.
Oh, that's lovely. Well, you can see this is 1970s really, sort of 60s, 70s. You can tell by this bark effect on the gold. That was very, very popular in this sort of ribbed effect. And the whole thing will be a 9 carat, I think. Yeah, 9375, so it's 9 carat rose gold, that one. And it's a type of dress ring, so you'd wear it just on a special occasion. But the colour purple is really popular, and amethysts are popular. And they go back to ancient Rome and to Greece. And if you have to actually translate the word, amethyst is actually 2 words in ancient Greek. A means not, methusos means intoxicated.
Right, OK.
So actually they believed in ancient Rome and Greece that the amethyst could protect you from becoming intoxicated. They went to the extremes actually of making drinking vessels from solid amethyst and that sort of thing to try and stop them from getting drunk.
OK.
Yeah. But very popular. I mean, they're lovely stones. I mean, the 4 precious stones are diamonds, emeralds, rubies, sapphires. They're the ones that hold the most value. So everything else is classed as a semi-precious stone. So there's not a great deal of value in them. It's just the decorative items, really. So is this your style then? I mean, is that something you would wear?
It's not really something I wear. I'm a bit more modern, let's say, than that older style.
Well, do you know, that's exactly what happens, though. Things can go in and out of fashion, and, you know, but do you think it's sentimental, though, to your mum, do you think?
I think it's got nice memories to it, but I don't think it's something that she wears. I think she'd be OK.
Right, OK. Well, if I said, I mean, the fashion has gone really for this now, but it is gold at the end of the day. It's a bit of 60s retro. It's nice amethyst, little diamonds there. I mean, if I said 40 to 60 to give it a real chance, and I think on the day somebody might take a shine to it.
Brilliant. I think she'll be pleased with that.
All right, OK. Well, let's keep it in this nice box for now. And I'll give that back to you.
I'll put that on the safe card.
Great. OK, let's keep looking, see what else we can find.
Our total must be looking very healthy now, so let's see if there are any last gems to add to the list. Brenda has found these 19th century oil paintings hidden in the closet. The signature on this landscape is hard to read, but the other is signed McCartney. The third seems to be a view of the Durdle Door near Lulworth Cove in Dorset. It's signed CM and dated 1881. Finally, a view of a cottage. Now then, the whole lot could make £30 to £60.
Oh, Paul, you found Alex's toys.
Well, do you know what? You can hardly miss this collection, can you? Look at that. Who's the science fiction fan then?
It's my son. Yeah, my son was absolutely potty about it all. He was only about 3 when it all started, so he really loved it. He couldn't wait to get to the toy shop to buy a new toy each week with his pocket money.
So he's bought these individually himself over the years?
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, it was 1977 when the first Star Wars movie came out. And the very clever trick, actually, George Lucas was the writer and the director.
Yeah.
But he also had the idea of producing the merchandise, and he was on quite a big percentage of the profits from the merchandising. So, of course, we got all these figurines of all the characters over the years, and they've literally sold in the millions. Something like 250 million.
Wow.
But there are collectors out there that tend to go for rare issues, you know, things with different paint schemes, different characters, the accessories. I mean, you've got the Millennium Falcon, which was shaped on a hamburger, actually, that one. Then you've got the AT-AT. They've got Ewok village, there we go. So there literally is something here for everybody. So how does he feel about letting them go now?
He hasn't looked at them for about the last 20 years, I don't think. But, you know, the time has come.
And were there any that he bought really as a collector's item, or were they all ready to play with?
No, there was one that was a very special thing, which
Right.
was this one. We had to send away for this one. It wasn't readily available on the shelves.
Right.
And it's still in its box.
Right. Well, do you know what? You weren't on your own there, actually. When the Star Wars, the first movie came out, that Christmas, the demand for the toys, you can imagine, was enormous. And very cleverly, what they decided to do was to sell you the box. And then when the toy was manufactured, a few months later, you were able to go in with your empty box and get the toy. So lots of people actually just bought the box and waited for the actual thing to arrive, which is amazing, isn't it? You know,
It is.
clever marketing, but what a successful thing it's been. Yeah, it's a wonderful thing. I have seen these being sold before. You know, they can range from a couple of pounds upwards, really, and people can pay quite large amounts of money for the rarer examples. I mean, realistically, I think what I would like to do is put a price on them just for the sake of our target.
Right.
If it turns out that there are some rarer examples amongst them, the auctioneer will pick up on that on the day. And I think what will happen, we'll split these into a couple of lots.
Right.
So rather than sell everything in one,
Okay.
we'll try and put them into 2 or 3 lots. But if I said at least 100, up to a couple of £100, I mean,
Wow.
how does that sound to you?
Fabulous.
Well, do you know, it could be intergalactic, you never know. But I bet Alan's a Star Wars fan. Alan, Kirsty,
Yes, sir?
here we are. Now then, are you a Star Wars fan?
I am. Why?
Look at this lot here.
This is amazing.
There you are, eh? So we got a good lot here. I've said at least 100 just for the sake of our target, but
Wow.
that's all right with you.
Well, you were after £400. How well do you think you've done?
Maybe just shy of it.
Really? What about you? What do you think?
We'll be fine.
You'd be fine.
We'll be
You'd be
fine.
more than fine. Basically, taking Paul's valuation of everything that we found today, you're looking to make around £670.
Hey!
Brilliant.
Bring on the double extension.
Fantastic.
I'll illustrate. Next time we see you, we'll be in the auction, and let's hope the force is with you. Wasn't that bad. You don't need to be Yoda to know that success or failure at auction depends on having the right bidders in the room. Let's hope it's full to bursting with militaria collectors for these medals, badges and postcards of the Great War, valued at £50 to £80. The Whitefriars decanters and glassware also deserve a mention. A present from Brenda's in-laws. They could deliver £40 to £80. Now, what about the assortment of gold watches? I expect there'll be a much safer bet with names like Atlantic and Seiko on offer. We're looking at £200 to £300. Still to come on Cash in the Attic, Paul shows us why he's famous all over the world for his groovy moves. Show us that footwork again. Is that what you do when you're excited? Are you ready? You go. But who's wearing the trousers around here, eh? Many people that watch this programme think that we're like a married couple. And up next is the old wife. I'm not sure if that's you or me.
It's all a rumour, Alan. All a rumour.
Find out when the final hammer falls. Well, it's been a few weeks since we met up with Brenda and her daughter Kirsty at their home in Basingstoke. We've brought all their items here to Saunders Auctions in Stansted. Now, they're hoping to raise about £400 at least so that Brenda can build an extension so that her granddaughter Sophie can play in it. All together now. Oh. At this auction house in Essex, Brenda and Kirsty check their belongings dotted about the room. The Star Wars collection seems to have been given a prime spot. It's the troublesome
good morning, how are you?
twosome.
All right?
How are you?
I'm very well, thank
Nice to
you.
see you.
Nice to see you.
Are you going to be sad to see anything go?
Not really, no. I haven't sent anything that it would make me sad to tell.
Okay.
I've only sold the things that are superfluous to my needs these days.
And the charm bracelet for me. I think I remember playing with all the charms that were on it when I was a little girl. So yeah, I think I'll be quite sad to see that go.
We'll block your ears then when it comes up, okay? We don't want you to be in pain. Have you put a reserve on anything?
Yes, I have. I've put a reserve on the gold watch that my father-in-law left Alex in his will, so that's got sentimental value. So I've put £200 reserve on that.
Okay, that's a good idea, that, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a great idea, especially before the auction starts as well, just so everyone's aware of that reserve on there.
The auctioneer soon gets underway, and as we take our places, we hope Brenda's first lot of the day, which came from an old aunt, will add up to more than the sum of its many silver parts.